Hello everyone, we'll just move this out of the way, and this is Leo's Fire, and we're just ranking the Star Wars movies today. And you see at the bottom of the list we have got all the Star Wars movies, and let's just get straight into it. If you could like and subscribe, it greatly helps the channel, and I'll be back again later on about, I'd say, Wednesday with a Loki review as well, and we'll just go through these Star Wars movies. I've got some unpopular opinions, some popular opinions that are basically the same, and we'll just go through them right now. Right, so we start off with Attack of the Clones, which I absolutely hate. I cannot stand it. All I do is fast forward to the attack on Geonosis, and I can't stand it. I can't stand the terrible dialogue of Anakin and Padme. It's just frustrating and annoying, and it's so painfully cringy. It's just the dialogue is so bad. So I just skip it to the action scenes, the Dooku versus Obi-Wan and Anakin. Then Yoda comes in, the Samuel L. Jackson cutting off Jango Fett's head. It's just, I just fast forward it to basically the end of the movie, really. So that's going for me straight into category The Last Jedi. No, this is an unpopular opinion just for the simple fact I don't think it's the worst out of the new three. The newest three. It is probably the most watchable, just for the simple fact right, I'll get on to the other movies. It's the most watchable. It's just a film that's so kind of like straight another way, and you don't get any of the reason why Luke turns that way or could turn that way. And it's just kind of like, here's 10 years later, Luke's terrible now. He can't be bothered, but you're given no reason. You're given no story. It's just like seeing Anakin. If we had the first films being Anakin, then like 30 years later, you just showed Darth Vader and been like, that's Anakin now. Like, it's because Darth Vader was showed then Anakin. It's not old Luke compared to young Luke in the new films. Just like it was old Obi-Wan to new, like the younger version of Obi-Wan too. So for this, I'll go here because Attack of the Clones is just, I have to skip it. I have to skip most of the movie. Empire Strikes Back is one of my favourites. It's one of the first films that I seen where it was that not always the good guys win. You go through the changes of Luke turning slowly into a Jedi, but not fully, and he's still making these mistakes, like basically growing up mistakes, and he loses his hand, and he's like, I'm not like my father, basically wanting to do good, which we see at the end, he's like, oh no, I'm like my father, just because his hand's been chopped off. And I think that's a good thing. The Empire's won again. It's got good story, decent dialogue. For me, that's a really good film. I'm going to go A category. Right, so now we've got the Force Awakens, which, again, I can't. It's just a reboot of A New Hope. There's nothing new to the film. It's boring. It's basically shot like A New Hope, and A New Hope was done in 1977. There's no reason for the action scenes or anything to be that subpar, in my opinion. But that is simply my opinion. But with Star Wars, I do like the exciting lightsaber fights and the sci-fi parts, which there wasn't any back in 1977. There was no technology for this type of stuff, but nowadays it's just, I didn't like the film. There's nothing new to the story. It's basically a reboot of A New Hope, so that's going to go down in the D as well category. Right, so here we go with A New Hope. I would put this, for me, B. I'd say B, just for the simple fact it's not my favourite, but it is the very first one, and you get to experience that story for the first time. It is kind of like an old wizard teaches a new student kind of thing, with the old master knowing everything, but even as a viewer we're kind of like, look, we don't know much, we're learning as well as with him as well. Then you've got Han Solo, who's kind of like the old grumpy one in the corner, but don't listen, that's a lot of rubbish. The old way is the best way, which is with a gun, which I think is kind of reminiscent of today's age. People feel safer rather than people being like talking wise and be like, focus on this and that. People just feel safe when they feel like they can protect themselves rather than going through these changes that could possibly grow you as a person. I think a lot of people get scared, so they act like Han Solo, just protect myself. So for that simple fact, I'm putting it in B. It's the first time I experienced that world, and it's like a good journey. And the next is the Phantom Menace, which I kind of go sway on, which I'll put it in C, for the simple fact it is Darth Maul, it's Sidious. We get Qui-Gon Jinn, we see very young Anakin, where he was like brought up on Tatooine. We kind of again see the first starts of a lot of new relationships in terms of Obi-Wan, Anakin. We even see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan for the first time. And basically it was Qui-Gon that was actually going to mentor Anakin. And for me, A New Hope it is cheesy. I didn't like Obi-Wan in it, but that's just his character growing. So I'm being picky there. So for me, that does go into C. And the next is Return of the Jedi, which I'm going to put into B, because again, it's not my favourite, but it is a good movie. I do enjoy it. You see Luke with his new lightsaber, which is green. He's all in black, just like his father. So it is kind of like a father-son thing, but he is on the light side. He force chokes as well, which a lot of people say is a dark side ability. I just think it's more like a life thing. You can have anger, but you can still be good. You can be good even when you're angry. Like, bad people can do good things. Darth Vader saving his son. Good people can do bad things using the force choke. It's basically balancing is what Star Wars is all about. And it carries on that story. It's the final arc of Luke Skywalker turning in to a master, into an adult Jedi. He's no longer a Padawan or a learner. So, for me, that really is what that film's about. You've got him saving Leia. You see Luke even without his lightsaber, which is very important for a Jedi, that they don't always need to rely on their lightsaber and they're prepared. So I think it evolutionises Luke's character brilliantly. And here we go, Rogue One, which I will put in B as well, for the simple fact it's a story that I wasn't even looking forward to, if I'm honest. But just the story itself is just basically a small band of rebels in the rebellion that rebels against rebellion to rebel. It's kind of like, it's strange. It's like a weird Star Wars story with no Jedis. It's not really anything like that. It's just about a story about people scraping by, fighting. The person's father is part of basically building the Death Star and the plans for that, and he's been forced to do it, but he didn't want to do it, so he's made like a fault, which is the gap in the Death Star, which is in A New Hope as well. And that's why that blows up, that tiny little gap. They get a torpedo into it, which you probably already know about 1,000 times and heard it. But yeah, Rogue One with the little crystal. I thought there'd be a little bit more with the little crystal necklace. And obviously the Darth Vader hallway scene right at the end. It was legendary. It was crazy to see him, like, because we see him all. Who could he beat? Like Luke at his prime, Sidious, Palpatine, as he's known. Mace Windu against Mace Windu or things like that. But to see it as a normal point of view or a normal human in the Star Wars universe, how scary that man, Darth Vader, would be if you came across him. It'd be like a apocalypse of running for your life and just hoping for the best. Basically like a hurricane, a tornado, or a tsunami, or an earthquake. You're just hoping you can survive by the skin of your teeth and live to tell about it. But also be terrified at the same time, even speaking about it, reminiscing about it. And Revenge of the Sith for me is so far up for me. It's so good in my point of view, just for the simple fact that the emotion, the dialogue's way better than the first two prequels. It's the action as well. That's how that was done in the early 2000s, not how The Force Awakens was shot. And for me, Revenge of the Sith is my favourite Star Wars movie. It's for now anyway. Because you've got the action, the emotion between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Anakin's turn as well, and why he turns. It's out of love. But then if it basically destroys that love. Well, he doesn't destroy that love, but he severs his connection because he's wanting to save it so much. And I think that's quite a good life lesson as well. Just be careful of what you don't destroy the thing you're trying to save by trying to save it. Don't overdo things. Think clearly. Which I think is a good life lesson. But yeah, overall it's got everything for me in terms of dialogue, the action, the story, which is the most important, the music as well, the tenseness, even the manipulations by Palpatine. It's great. Solo, I will have to put in C. It's just, for me, it's not very good at all. It's just terrible for me. It's cheesy. The only good thing was the Maul appearance. You just get, oh, why is your name's Han? I don't have a second name. Oh, it's Han. So that is the most stupidest thing. They could have made that meaningful, or even he was on the orphan or something. No, just the Imperium giving him a name, or they could have at least gave him it himself. But that's just my opinion. Even meeting Chewbacca wasn't that great. I wasn't really interested. I'll be honest, I can't really remind the movie. I've watched it once or twice. That's it. And we get on to the disaster that was Rise of Skywalker. At first, when I seen it, I was like, wow, the lights, the action of like the Star Destroyers coming up. I was like, oh my god, Palpatine's back. This is crazy. It's like you're caught off guard by how terrible the story is because of how good the visuals are. And when you think about it, it's terrible. But they've basically retconned everything they've done from The Last Jedi, but forget about that movie. Fans didn't like to see where that was going, so we've changed it all the way for the next movie. It just spent retconning it. The fact that Palpatine's back lasted, in the movie story, was like 2 weeks, I think. And then the movie itself time was like half an hour. He spent 30 years, longer, according to the new canon of the new Vader comics. They've been sitting there post Empire Strikes Back, I think. They've just been sitting there all that time, and Palpatine has just started now to want to do it, and he dies by getting his lightning put back on him. Which isn't the first time that's happened to him. Like, why is he not prepared? And also, if he's cloning himself, why has he picked an old body again? Why has he picked one that's basically disabled and in a wheelchair, when in fact he's made a clone of a young self? Could he not at least be 20 older than that young self? 20 older from his old self? Surely that it'd have been better in Snoke, really. Another Snoke. Because at least Snoke could get up by himself. It was just silly. The coolest part was the final order rising, and also the fact that Palpatine shoots up to the sky with lightning, which is like a Power Rangers moment. But I was born in the 90s, so that kind of appealed to me. It was kind of fun. And then it was just the new movies. If the new movies had the action of the prequels and probably the continuation of the story from the originals, then they would have been fantastic. I just hope Star Wars has learned their lesson, and basically we move from this. The Mandalorian's great. I like Rebels. I like Clone Wars, Bad Batch. There's a lot of up moments. Well, there's a couple of up moments, like really big moments, and the rest is down or just subpar, but that's my opinion. So anyway, that is me, Leo's Fire. I'll post a review of Loki on Wednesday, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.